Wow. Ashton here, servicing animation information. And first of all, I just wanted to thank everybody who has recently followed this channel. I also wanted to thank everybody who has recently shared the giveaway video with 2 other people that they know and have commented on their favorite review. I do understand it is time sensitive, and watching these reviews and formulating your own likes and opinions based on what I'm reviewing, but again, part of this giveaway and part of what I'm doing is just for you guys. I love anime. I want to be able to share anime with you guys, recommending the best ones in my opinion. Let's keep watching anime together. If you do want to enter in the contest I recently just put up, please do drop a like in the contest video. Please comment on it and share that video with 2 other people that you know of so I can get you entered in and you have a chance to win $50 worth of anime merchandise. I'm not giving away one, I'm giving away 2 grand prizes of $50 in anime merchandise. Good luck to you. Good luck to the other people that you share as well. Keep watching anime and we'll go watch and rate anime together, guys. See you in the recent video coming up. Much love. Ashton, animation, information. And today we'll be covering the anime. And today we'll be reviewing the anime Higurashi, When They Cry.
Hinamizawa Dam 工事現場作業員リンチしバラバラ殺人あったんだやっぱり
When They Cry was originally written by Ryukishi and animated by Studio Passione in 2020. Now, I know there's a bunch of series for this anime, video game, story novel, whatever the case may be. I think there's one for the DS, an old animation that came out in the early 2000s, another visual novel. There's so many different types of stories and games related to this. Actually, I did a bunch of digging, and yeah, I'm just doing the 2020 version, the newer one that came out. I am familiar with the older story as well. Also, I have seen that older story. Great animation. If I could rate it, probably 7, 8. I didn't do as much in-depth detail and research as I did with this one. This is just the 2020 version of When They Cry. The story follows a young Kiichi. See, it gets kind of complicated in this sense too, because in every different scenario, there is many different main characters. So just bear with me. We have Kiichi, Satsuko, Rika, and you could say another main character that's actually not there, Satoshi. Now, I think it does a good job of just having this character off to the side as well, even though the story does get really convoluted really fast as you're trying to keep up with all of these things and themes coming up in your face. It's like, it's very happy-go-lucky, and then it's very sad, it's very somber, and then it's terrifying, and then it's gory. Ooh, man, there's a lot to it. Regardless, the story follows these 3 people in this club. Now, there's Mion and Shion and Rina that are also a part of this club in their 4th to 5th or 6th grade activities that they're doing in these clubs. And it follows their adventures as they go out and they're exploring the world as they go, living day by day. What really makes this show tick the time bomb is the horror aspect of it. It's like this constant lurking of, you know, the genre that you do decide to sign up for before you watch the show. It's just, when does it happen? And there's many times that you get good hints and good lulls on where it's coming from and where it's going to go past this. Now, granted, the show does kind of take its time at the very beginning, but it's very necessary to the plot line as it does continue this really driving mental, psychological feeling that's constantly vibrating within yourself. There's so many times where there's so many interpretations of how this character is going to act, or what this character may do, or what's going to set off this next character to another part. And what makes the show even more interesting is the constant time loops that come with it. Spoiler, there is a lot of good gore that comes with it, needless to say. So it's not for the faint of heart, nor is it for somebody who likes to watch a slow-paced anime, where it does take a little bit of diving into, maybe some pausing, just to get some understanding of the story, and then get a good full development of what's actually happening here. In fact, with the 2 seasons or the two arcs that it's separated by just in this 2020 version, it does show more of just like a bird's eye view. You as an audience understanding what's happening through this city, the curses, the many timelines that are going on between Keiichi or Satsuko or Rika or Mion and Shion or Rena or the police officers or even the couple. Look, the point is that there's so many characters with so many fulfillments that's constantly happening through this. It's a very uncomfortable show. It's very good. It's very detailed. It's very convoluted as well. So again, pause, stop, go back to the show. I do recommend sometimes a second watch for certain scenes is viable, but most importantly, just making sure that you're paying attention. You get a lot of these ups and downs that come through it. You get really good gory scenes. You get really good horror-filled scenes. You get this sense of just uneasiness that's constantly lurking behind everything you're doing. I don't want to get too much into detail of this. I want to talk about how great the show is. It's bringing in these ideas of shock value, and you're just not expecting what's coming your way, nor should you, nor is it copying a lot of shows that have done this horror scene like this before. Again, with the goriness, it does add to that shock value from not actually anticipating what's going to happen next. It's like you feel in this club faith with everybody around you, yet the only people you can trust is going to be adults because, again, as young children, we've all been there, I hope at least. Your only thing you can do is trust adults. And then whenever you have somebody right next to you that you can't trust, the whole thing comes out of whack, especially when you repeat that over and over again. So to kind of get a good idea and perspective of where I'm coming from, you're trusting everybody in this club around you. You're trusting adults to take care of you guys as well. Again, that's all we have to trust as human beings, and as a child myself when I hope that's who I put my trust in. When you violate that trust, it's that constant just screws turning in your head of what's happening, and it's like you lose trust of this show in general. Like, you don't know what to expect, and it does such a good job of keeping that up. Again, it's not for a faint of heart viewer. It has this constant lurking that's behind your back, and it's like shadows just creeping up on you constantly. Gory, suspenseful, thrilling, psychological, super in-depth, very detailed, and there's so many different stories and perspectives that you get from each character. And the best part is they are always staying true to who they are, regardless of the story and the timeline. For a story, again, that's so convoluted, hats off to the writer for coming up with a story this crazy. I mean, it's really hard to follow. You're vesting your interest in people that you don't know, and so many different characters that you could easily just get distracted from one another. But I think there's good screen time, there's good balance, there's good lots of people that are moving with one another, the story's flowing, yet you just sometimes have to slow down and really grasp what's happening between each character. And one of the other best parts that come with this show is just the amount of fan base that comes with it. It's, in my opinion, such a low-key show. There's so much that you can learn from not only this 2020 version of When They Cry, but from the early 2006 to the 3DS video games, to even another story that has to do with the same premise. They have similar characters, just not the same main characters that are in the story. And it makes me, as an audience and an anime lover, I would say, just want to know more about the story. And I think that's what any good anime or animation setting should do. You should want people looking up your story. You should want people finding the details and wanting to see more for what you're offering. You want to create this following behind what you're doing. And to keep it up for so long, I think the 2020 version of When They Cry just really, really adds to that tone very well. Again, gory, does not hold back, very in-depth. There's lots of animation, lots of scenes. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of horror that was coming around the early 2000s, and even in the mid 2010s to 20s, you just haven't seen many horror anime like this. Not one that's willing to take these risks and really put in the work behind horror. I love it. I mean, this is a really good show for what they're doing, and where you don't get as much from the characters themselves. In a way, you kind of don't need it because you're getting more of the story. You're not invested in Keiichi, who is one of the main characters that you get from a good perspective, nor are you invested in Satsuko or Rika, but you get this story and the tension between all of these characters. And when I mentioned not trusting everyone around you, this is a prime example of how to create such a good story. And the one thing I cannot get over that I truly do love, probably most about this show, is Satoshi more than anybody. Satoshi is this unknown character that is constantly mentioned through this show. And for a show that doesn't show something like this and doesn't involve this Satoshi, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because you're looking forward to who this character is, what makes this character so interesting, yet it adds to the mystery. It's a part of a mystery within the mystery, yet you feel like you know Satoshi just because he's a relative to Satako. This show just does so many good things that constantly bounce these characters one another, that creates this tension between you as the viewer and the characters themselves. That being said, I do think sometimes it does lose that focus. I don't want to get too much again into spoilers, but towards the end, whenever you're given more of this conclusion, it's not, I would say, a typical conclusion, but it's kind of brilliant in its own way, yet I do feel like it gets a little distracting as well in its own way. Again, it's more of a perspective base. I think it did a decent job. You got to see it for yourself. I think you'll understand. It's just, you get through all the horror part of it, and then you get the initiative at the very end that actually leads to a more human-like story. Rather than a very happy-go-lucky, everything ties into where it needs to, it's very humanized. It's very relatable. There is that still tension that's there even when the show is gone. And oh man, what a brilliant ending. There's not many shows that can pull something off like this, and I would say psychological horrors, psychological animation, but more importantly, psychological stories. It's bold, brilliant, vibrant. Yeah, there's a lot that goes within the story in itself. Again, maybe change a little bit of the characters whenever it's time to play or when it's time to get distracted in some other ends. And towards the end, once again, there's just something you can't really describe, but hey, it's in there. I think it's decently awesome. Unnecessary, but again, adds value to the story. Yet everybody's servicing roles. Good animation, good characters. Keiichi, Satako, Rika, Mion, Shion, Rena, horror, scares. I was terrified of this show when I first started. And the first thing I thought of was a show like Another, because I had recently just watched it before that. And Another is a really slow-paced show. It does like to take its time. But this show, man, I mean, it's got a lot more shock value than a lot of shows that I've seen. Those risks and those bold accusations of one person to another, you feeling like you're part of this story and this mystery that everybody has wrapping their heads around. The payoff is totally worth it. I recommend it if you like anime. I do recommend it if you like horror, if you like feeling that uneasiness. I do not recommend watching it late at night, 1 or 2 a.m. with no lights on, no sound, and your cat jumping right in front of you. You will be having nightmares. I love this show for every reason about it. 8. Absolutely solid 8. So much detail, so much good character development, so many good side stories, so many good stories. And again, for a following that this show has, it's not hard to see why. There's so many good characters. You want to feel like you're invested in the story that's continuing constantly. There's so much you can find out about it. And any good story, any good storyteller should make you want to feel vested in the story. You want to dive yourself in, find the secrets, find what's happening, be everything the story has to offer. Keep finding more information. 8 across the board. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Cisco Bang. If you did like this episode, please drop a comment down below, drop a like, subscribe, and the giveaway is still on. We have another 2 weeks until I announce our very two, not one, but two winners. I'm giving away $50 in merchandise to each one of those winners, and I hope to see you in the next video. I really did enjoy this show, so yeah, please go watch it. I recommend, I don't know, just don't watch it alone. Yeah, good show. Cisco Bang, Ashton, Higurashi, When They Cry Forever and Ever, always. Much love, your way. Keep watching anime, sub-dubbed. Watch it together, review it together, and see you in the next episode. Bye. And this is a bonus review for When They Cry. So I really do like how they do a good job of pacing more than anything. The story does kind of take its time, and it's very methodical in the way it does act and have every character kind of unveil who they are and what they do. But again, the pacing is one of the best things about this show. It's a slow burner at the very beginning, and then it picks up when it needs to. It slows down when it needs to. There's really good tension release, and it's not just giving you these lame jump scares that are thrown in your face. It's a really slow psychological filler with this gore that's scaring you more than anything, and yeah, fear of just people that you may know right next to you. I love it, and it was one of my favorites that I did end up seeing last year. And there's a few horror shows that I wish I could go back and kind of just relate to something like this. But for one of the first horror shows that I've really picked up and really gone in depth to, there's so much to be said about a huge following that has a fan base like this. Keep watching it. I do recommend this show. It takes some time for sure. Be patient. The payoff is absolutely worth it, and this is one of a very good amount of horror shows that really do take animation and horror to the next level. If you're a child, do not watch it, and if you are a child and watch it, beware, because it could be me next. Much love. Cisco Bang out. Deuces.